Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a daily podcast devoted to spirituality and self-help. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So today I wanted to talk to you about, this message kept popping up in my head over and over again. And it was, you know what to do. And I know that this is a message for somebody out there. I don't know what situation you're going through. I wasn't given any of that. Just, you know what to do. And the universe wants you to know that it's time for you to move your feet. Whatever it is that you need to work on or to do in your life, the universe is saying it's time. You already know what decision to make. So stop dragging your feet and start moving already. There's so many times when we have big decisions in our life to make that we try to rely on everyone else in the world to make it except for ourselves. If you're like me, when I have big decisions to make, I will go to my cards and I will try to use my cards and be like, oh, I wonder if I can get any advice for myself or get any guidance. And the cards are great. It's not like the cards aren't great. They give you guidance, but then here's what I do. And I don't know if you're like me or not. I'll use the cards and the card comes out and I'll be like, are you sure? Are you sure that's what you want me to do? And so then I shuffle and then deal again and I just keep picking cards over and over again. And I keep getting the same or similar messages over and over again. But that little voice inside myself wants to doubt it. And that little voice isn't my intuition. That's fear. That's ego. Ego will tell you, no, that's not right, or keep trying, or do it again because you don't have all the answers. The truth is, our higher selves know exactly what to do. We have already mapped out our lives. We know what we were going to do, when we were going to do it, and you have paths in your life so you can veer off in different directions. But essentially, you're supposed to be on this one main path in your life, and your higher self, it's like your inner GPS, your higher self knows where you're supposed to be going. But it's that ego that takes over that says, I think you might be lost. Are you really sure that's where you're supposed to be going? Because I feel like you got off course. I don't think this is the right way. And we keep doubting decisions that we know they didn't come to us out of nowhere. We didn't just suddenly go, oh, I think I'm just going to do this. I think I'm going to totally change my career. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to start a podcast. That wasn't... I'm the one who, had that I'm going to start a podcast thing. But that wasn't just a coincidence. That wasn't just you saying, I'm going to do this and making things up. You are being divinely guided. You are remembering your path. Your higher self already knows it. But you get these glimpses here and there of you know what? I think I'm supposed to be doing something different. I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this. And it's not a coincidence. That is your higher self saying, yeah, you're supposed to be over here. What are you doing over there? But then we get doubts. Doubts creep in and we go, I'm too old to change careers. Or I don't really know if that's the right person for me. Or I don't know if I'm supposed to be taking a risk and starting this new class. I really don't know if I want to do it. And all those little naysayer thoughts that pop into your head, that is not your higher self. That is not intuition. That is just plain fear. Fear telling you that you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or maybe now's not the time, or maybe you're too old. And the only thing that ends up happening is nothing. Nothing happens. Because I know what goes through your mind, whether it's subconsciously or not. You think, well, if I don't do anything, if I just wait and see, That's the old standby message we give ourselves, right? I'll just wait and see what happens. Well, you're going to be waiting forever because nothing is going to happen. When you decide to keep your feet stuck, planted firmly where they are, and not take any steps forward, you're going to have a whole lot of nothing in your life. I mean, don't get me wrong, don't mean you're going to have a terrible life, but nothing special can happen if you play it safe all the time, and if you don't take risks, and if you don't actually listen to your higher self and your intuition, instead of listening to that ego. The ego is the one that will tell you things like, you're not good enough. Intuition can tell us things like, now might not be the right time. But there's a big difference between intuition and ego, because ego will say things like, you're never going to have enough. You're never going to be enough. That is not your higher self talking. That is intuition. That is a fear-based thought, and that is keeping you stuck and paralyzed where you are. Your intuition might tell you things like, wait a month, or do some research about this and see. The intuition never says, don't do it at all because you're going to fail. Now, I have had situations where opportunities have come along, and my intuition, when I tapped into it, said, this isn't for you because you're not going to be happy here. But that wasn't a, you don't have enough, you're not enough. It was a, I know this isn't going to be the right environment for me. And there's a difference, because it isn't about me lacking anything. It's about me being where my needs are going to be met and where it's for my highest good. And sometimes that isn't always the case. You might get opportunities that come along and they seem amazing, really amazing. And then you go to ask your higher self about it. You go sit with your intuition and say, should I do this? And what you get is a no, this isn't for you. Not a no, you're not good enough. A no, this isn't the right timing, or no, this isn't the right situation. Something better is coming. And why I bring this up is because I think there are so many people who are confusing ego with intuition. And somebody asked me that one time on a Facebook Live. They said, how do you know what's ego and what's intuition? And as I said before, your intuition is always going to be about guiding you to the right situation, the situation that fits for you. It's never about you not being enough for a situation or you not having enough. And a lot of people are taking those thoughts of, you'll never be successful, you'll never make it, you're not going to have enough. They're taking that as intuition. That is not intuition. That is your ego. And your ego is a big fat liar. Your ego will try to keep you stuck and small, because if you don't take risks, you can't get hurt. The ego, the whole role of the ego was to keep us safe. And it worked for a long time. And now as we've gotten older, it actually works against us in a lot of ways, because instead of saying we're confident in what we can do and we're so happy and this or that, the ego comes in and says, no. The ego says, but you're not as good as that person next to you and they've got the same business, and so you're going to fail. And the thing is, we never want to compare ourselves to anyone. My journey isn't your journey, and it's not the next person's journey. And you know what? You can have 1,012 healers out there in the world, but no one does exactly what you do. And that's why, people have said to me before, like family members, like, oh, well, there's a lot of people out there who do what you do. Like, aren't you afraid, like, of the competition? Or don't you think that that's a bad thing, that there's too many people doing the same thing, so you're gonna have to compete? And I've never really worried about that, because what I know is, yeah, there may be a lot of people out there, but there's nobody who does what I do, because we all channel things differently. And the way that I channel energy is different from the next healer that you'll meet. no two people really work the same way. And there's a purpose for that. In the same way that you have to choose, if you go to counseling, you choose a counselor that you connect with. You connect with their energy, vibe with them, you like their style. If you go to counseling and let's say, for example, you're a sensitive person and you go to a counselor who's like a tough love kind of person and just like is in your face telling you what you have to do and is real gruff, and you don't like that. You're like, look, I don't want to take advice from you right now. I kind of want to punch you, That's their style. And you don't connect with it. But there might be people who do. There may be people who are like, you know what? I was used to tough love my whole life, and I was in the military, and I like when people get in my face and tell me what I need to do because that's what I need. But if you're like me, I'm one of those people, like, if you get in my face, I'm going to start crying probably because I don't like conflict. That's one of the side effects of being from a divorced family and being the middle child is I am like the conflict resolver. Like, I don't want conflict. I don't want anyone to be in my face. So I try to resolve everything. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to let somebody walk all over me, but I just don't like fighting. So to me, having someone in my face trying to tell me how to live my life to try to help me would not be a good thing. That wouldn't help me at all. I'd be like, I'd need therapy for my therapy. You know what I mean? Like, it would be horrible and I would hate it. And I would leave crying probably more than when I got there. So for me, I would need someone who is very sensitive and understanding, maybe soft-spoken, but there also would be other things that I would need that maybe, other people who go to therapy wouldn't need. And I've been to both kinds. I've been to therapy where I had somebody who was really, really good, and I really made a connection with that person, and it was like everything that person said, I just felt like they were a genius, and like pearls of wisdom were coming off of her tongue, and she was just amazing. And then I went to another therapist who was nice, and I thought she had a nice personality, but her advice was pretty useless. It was like, and I don't say that to be mean, it's just, it didn't sit with me, it didn't resonate with me, and I was just like, this isn't helpful to me. Like, your type of therapy doesn't really work with me. And again, it all comes down to what they studied, what their personality types are, all kinds of things. So therapy is not like a one-size-fit-all. Well, in the same way, neither is a healer. A healer is not a one-size-fit-all. I don't work the same way that other people do, and some people really connect with me and some people may not. And that's just the way it works. So I've never been afraid to get out there and be in competition with people. So if that's one of the things that your ego is telling you is, oh, but there's so many fill in the blanks out there, it's going to be hard to find a job because, you're going to be competing. Well, get that right out of your head, because you need to know that you have a lot of attributes that other people don't have. And I always tell people too, people who work with me for coaching, one of the things that I like to tell them is that we need more people in professions like teaching and counseling and nursing and all kinds of professions who use their intuition. I remember that a friend of mine was an HR person and I think was very intuitive. And I remember thinking that really comes in handy when you're in HR, because you really kind of need to read people, because people will lie to your face, right? They want the job. So they're going to tell you that they're the best at whatever, that they're never late and this or that. And you have to be able to see past the BS from a lot of people. And that's not always easy to do. But if you can read energy, and when someone comes in and starts giving you a load of BS and you can see right through it because you're like, this person's lying and they're not being truthful. I mean, how helpful would that be if you were in HR or if you were a counselor? Because people will come in and go to counseling and they will just lie their butts off, because sometimes people are forced to go. They don't really want to go, so they won't tell you the truth. And sometimes people don't tell you the truth because they don't want to necessarily dig that deep and look into their past that much, because it's going to be painful. So how great would it be to be intuitive and to be a counselor and to be able to help people that way? And we need that in like every field, really. I mean, it would be useful in every field. Think about if you had law officers who were, intuitive, and they might be able to see when a kid is, really just in need of help. It would be awesome to have that ability. And so I think we need to not be afraid to do whatever it is that our intuition is telling us we need to do, because we're so needed. You're needed. You're so needed in whatever it is that you do. And tapping into your intuition is something that's only going to help you in whatever field you're working. It really, truly does. When you work with coworkers, it helps to be able to know what kind of person you're dealing with. You know what I mean? In my last job, there was a coworker who, when you first got to know her, you thought like she was maybe a cool person and okay. And then once you did get to know her, you knew that was not the case. And she was the type of person that you should not tell anything to because you couldn't trust her at all. And that's kind of important to know. So you brushing up on working with your intuition is only going to help you. And it's also going to help you distinguish between what is my intuition and what is my ego. But again, intuition, the thoughts you get from your intuition are never going to be negative and self-deprecating. It's not going to be you can't do it, you're not good enough. That's not ever going to be your intuition. Your intuition, again, is only going to steer you in the right direction by, let's say, an opportunity comes along and you sit and you ask the question of the universe, would this opportunity be the best for my highest good? Would it be good for me to accept this offer? Would it be for my highest good? And you sit there and you just think about this offer. And for me, again, I feel a yes from the universe in the pit of my stomach, kind of like butterflies in my stomach. And it's an excited feeling. And I feel no in my chest. It is like a heaviness. It feels almost like I can't breathe. That's what it is for me, but it is different for everyone. I've heard people say they feel it like in their head, like pressure in their head. So what you have to do is to get really good at knowing what yes and no feel like in your body. And again, you do that by, just find a quiet place and find 5 minutes. Take a deep breath and then say to yourself, yes, 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 yes. And where do you feel that in your body? Because our body reacts physically to our intuition. And you know this because you've been around people that you didn't like and your intuition was going, stay away from those people. And the hair on the back of your neck stood up or the hair on your arms stood up. You got goosebumps. That is your body physically reacting to something your intuition's trying to tell you. It's reacting to the energy around people. So do the intuition practice. Again, sit and tell yourself yes, and then sit and tell yourself no, 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 no. And where do you feel that in your body? There will be a physical reaction. And when you get really good at distinguishing that, then you can ask those yes or no questions. But one thing I always tell people to make sure you do before you do that is clear your energy, clear your space. Because we pick up on other people's energy, and believe it or not, how many people throughout your day try to tell you what to do or how you should do something? Everyone wants to leave their advice with you or what they think you should do. And again, they're not living your life, so you need to rely on yourself, not others, for what you should or shouldn't be doing. So sit with your intuition and say, is this for my highest good? Would this be for my highest good? And get what comes to you. And then trust it when it does. Because the other part of that is that if you do those exercises, but then you don't trust the answers you're given, and I've done that. I absolutely have done that. there was a class I wanted to take one time, and I remember thinking to myself that I wasn't sure it was going to be what I needed, that the class I was looking to take was, something to help me with my marketing, and I wasn't sure that this was going to do that. And I said, okay, should I be taking this? Would this be for my highest good? And I got no. But then I got on the phone with the woman who was teaching the class, and she just talked me into doing this. So I did it anyway. And it ended up being something that really wasn't that helpful to me. And the cost for the class was more than the benefit that I got from the class, if that makes sense. So that was a huge lesson for me, though, in listening to my intuition, because it will not ever steer you wrong. And you can't make a wrong choice, especially if you're listening to your intuition. But there's so many people out there who just don't even get that far. We don't listen to our intuition at all. Instead, we go and consult everyone else and our brother about what we should be doing instead of just listening to ourselves. We know the way. We know what we're supposed to be doing. We've been here before. We've seen our path. It's just as humans, we forget what it is because we're supposed to be tapping into our intuition. We were sent here with this awesome inner guidance system that we don't even use. It would be like if someone bought you this great GPS tool that did all these things for you and you left it sitting in the box for a year. It wouldn't be doing you any good. But that's what most of us do. We have this awesome thing that we don't use because sometimes it's because you don't know how. You haven't done the practice with your intuition, so you're not really sure how to use it. You know how that is. You get out the directions, you're like, oh my gosh, there are 20 steps. Nope, this is too much. Not going to use it. Or maybe that's just me. But I'm like, oh, this is 12 steps too many. No, not going to use that. Or the directions are only in another language like Chinese, or they're just symbols, and you're like, I have no clue. That can be what our intuition feels like to us when we're not used to using it. But do that simple practice that I told you about. And really, you've got to keep doing it to practice. And it'll get easier. And the more you do it, you'll be like, oh, wow, hey, that's my intuition. That I trust. I understand that. Oh, that's my ego, because my intuition wouldn't say that. So it's really about being mindful and getting into the practice of listening to your body, what your body's telling you, because you have an inner GPS and it knows where you're supposed to be going. So you've got to stop trying to take control sometimes and steering it in the opposite direction, because your course has already been set. You just have to trust and let go. So whatever it is in your life that you are dragging your feet on, the universe is telling you today to stop. Just trust that you are being taken care of. Your care is placed in the universe. You have an entire spiritual team. You will be guided. Sometimes it's only one step at a time, but you will be guided. And sometimes I just even pray, send me the people who can help me in this journey or on this journey. Please send me the people. And that's very helpful too, because people will just show up and it's amazing. So don't forget to keep asking your team for help and also listening to that inner guidance, to your intuition, because it will never steer you wrong. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you for listening to me today. I wanted to pull a card for you before I left. So the card I pulled for you is from the Heart, I believe it's Heart Songs deck by Louise Hay. Heart Thoughts. The Heart Thoughts deck by Louise Hay. And the card is, I express myself in positive ways. Everything I do is by choice. I can choose what to say, to do, and to think. And that may seem so simple, but it's so true. And so many of us miss that point. We allow things in our lives sometimes to upset us, and then we just start saying a lot of things we don't mean. We get upset and we just start saying a lot of really hurtful and mean things to other people or about ourselves. And the thing is that we have a choice every day as to whether we're going to let something get to us or not. Are we going to let something shake us off our foundation or not? We can choose a better thought at any moment. So when you find yourself in that place where you know you're going to that negative space, it's about catching yourself, saying rewind, delete, and then totally changing that thought. It's like you're re-scripting your life. Think about watching a movie and the movie didn't end the way you wanted it to, or something in the scene didn't happen the way you wanted it to, and you just had the power to change it. To be like, no, I don't like that. Do it this way, or say this, don't say that. It's essentially the power that you have. You absolutely every day have the power to write the script that you want to see played out in your life. But it's about being mindful and paying attention to your thoughts and changing your thoughts when they aren't serving you. And when your thoughts become consistently negative and you go to that place where nothing's working out and nothing's ever going to work out, it's stopping yourself and saying, no, everything works out perfectly for me. I love my life. I love everything I have in it. And when you start changing how you talk to yourself, things around you start changing too, because whether you realize it or not, you are definitely and totally shaping your reality with your words and your thoughts. So choose better words and thoughts, and you're going to see a better reality. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you for being with me today. As always, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please share it with others. Please like it or leave me some reviews and some stars on iTunes. That always helps others find me too. And I really appreciate that. If you would like to work with me, you can go to my website, melissaoatman.com, and check out my services. I do have it where you can pay on my website, but a lot of people prefer just to send me an email and then I will invoice them. You have to send me an email or message me to set up your appointment. I tried using one of those online schedulers and I just didn't like it. So if you email me, that allows us to work together to find the absolute best time for you, which is better anyway. And I can send you your Zoom link where we will meet, where we will work together if you choose to work with me. And I can also send you an invoice to pay before we meet. So don't hesitate to reach out. And if you'd like to work with me, but you're not really sure what you want to do, reach out to me. All of my contact information is in the description to this podcast, and you can get a hold of me anyway. You can email me, text me, call me, or message me on social media. I'm fine with whatever you choose to do. People reach out to me all the time through all of those social media forms and through my other forms of contact. So I am perfectly fine with however you want to get a hold of me. Don't forget to follow me on social media. I go live on Facebook Mondays at 5:30 Central. And I do videos for Instagram, IGTV, where I upload them weekly. So check those out. If you subscribe to my website, you will receive a free morning and evening meditation simply for subscribing. So check that out as well. As always, I love you guys so much, and I hope that you will have a wonderful day filled with so many blessings. And until then, I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.